I need your attention again, please. If you're going to join the procession, please don't come in yet. There is a place reserved for people that are joining the procession outside. There are canopies outside with chairs for people joining the procession. If you have your gowns and you're going to be robed, you join from outside. Wait for us outside in the designated area. There are canopies there. We're all going to aggregate there before joining the procession. So if you are robed, you intend to join the procession, please be outside in the canopy before the procession starts. Thank you very much. There are seats upstairs, please. I didn't know mutane. Ladies and gentlemen, all the seats are clearly labeled. Those that are reserved for specific people, please do not sit on them. We'll be forced to ask you to kindly leave when the procession comes in or when those reserved for arrive. So please, there are seats that are reserved for some specific people, guests. Thank you. If you're a Senate member, there are seats for Senate members.
Education THE as the best public university in Nigeria in 2024 and 2025, and ranked 21st in Sub-Saharan Africa for interdisciplinary science research outputs. ABU is setting the pace for higher education reform and innovation across Africa. With a dedicated academic workforce of over 776 professors and 311 and an offering of 96 accredited undergraduate and 529 postgraduate programs, ABU is the most cosmopolitan and one of the most diverse universities in Nigeria, earning the 2025 National Admission Performance Merit Award by the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board (JAMB). ABU is future-focused. It has invested in over 70 kilometers of fiber optic backbone and secured 3 GPBs in dual bandwidth internet for reliable digital learning. Its printed circuit board lab, digital innovation lab, and hosting of the UNESCO ICHEI Nigeria National Center signify readiness to lead in digital transformation. A trailblazer in virtual education. 81.13% of oral examinations are now conducted virtually, and ABU's Distance Learning Center serves nearly 50,000 students globally, offering courses in business, health, social sciences, education and administration. In 2025, ABU sponsored 10 academic staff to participate in the Transnational Education Workshop by the Association of African Universities in Accra, Ghana. Long before that, in 2020, it rolled out its ICT policy, embedding a blended learning culture university-wide. With over 320 signed international partnerships, ABU collaborates with 19 universities in Africa, 19 in Europe, 18 in the United States, and 8 in Asia, including a successful 3+2 joint double degree program in railway engineering with Central South University, China. It also participates in Erasmus Plus exchange programs in urban planning, life sciences, and agricultural sciences, bringing students and staff from across continents into ABU's academic ecosystem. ABU students continue to shine on the global stage. At the Enactus National Competition, ABU's team emerged champions, representing Nigeria at the Erasmus World Cup. In the Huawei ICT Global Competition, ABU students placed among the top international performers, showcasing their tech proficiency. Law students have won national and international moot court competitions, affirming the depth of ABU's legal education. From engineering expos to innovation summits, ABU students continue to dominate competitions, fueled by strong academic mentorship and institutional support. ABU is home to 3 World Bank Africa Centers of Excellence: the Africa Center of Excellence for Neglected Tropical Diseases and Forensic Biotechnology, which recently secured a €5 million grant to develop AI-powered microscopes for diagnosing parasitic diseases; the African Center of Excellence on New Pedagogies in Engineering Education, advancing new pedagogies in engineering education, and the Sustainable Procurement, Environmental and Social Standards Enhancement Center for Excellence, driving sustainable practices in procurement, environment and social standards. From AI in microscopy to sustainable agriculture, ABU is pushing the frontiers of knowledge. Its research ecosystem includes biotechnology labs, the renowned multi-user laboratory with cutting-edge tools like nuclear magnetic resonance NMR machines, and 21 patents registered in Nigeria and Germany. ABU boasts unique strengths in engineering, environmental studies, life sciences, humanities and agriculture, where it holds one of the largest agricultural research complexes in Africa. Breakthroughs like the development of Shika brown chickens and improved seeds varieties maize, millet, sorghum, cowpeas amongst others have transformed local farming systems, reinforcing ABU's leadership in food security and innovation. The ABU campus is a city within a city. A serene landscape of rich vegetation, well-kept lawns, sit-out and relaxation spots, and iconic fountains. The university also features one of the largest sporting infrastructures, making it an environment that truly inspires learning, creativity, and reflection. Students enjoy 3-star accommodations within campus, such as the CBN Center of Excellence, which features uninterrupted power supply, modern hostel facilities, and high-speed internet. Security is paramount. Located in close proximity within the Basawa military barracks, the university has a well-structured and well-trained security unit with active collaboration with national security agencies, ensuring a safe and secured learning environment for all. Ahmadu Bello University is not just ready for transnational education, it is already there. With a culture of global partnerships, digital learning infrastructure, and enlarged academic depth, ABU invites the world to collaborate, to teach, to learn, and to innovate together. Whether you are an institution seeking academic collaboration, a scholar pursuing global research, or a student aiming for a cross-border learning experience, ABU welcomes you to a world of possibilities. Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, where learning transcends borders. In the heart of northern Nigeria lies a treasure of knowledge, innovation, and collaboration. Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. Established in 1962, ABU is a beacon of academic excellence with a proud legacy of nurturing minds and advancing African scholarship. Today, it stands ready to open its gates wider than ever to the world of transnational education. The university's vision is to advance the frontiers of learning and break new grounds through teaching, research, and the dissemination of knowledge of the highest quality. To establish and foster national and international integration, development, and the promotion of African traditions and cultures. To produce high-level manpower and enhance capacity building through training and retraining in order to meet the needs and challenges of the catchment area, Nigeria, and the rest of the world. Sitting on approximately 7,000 hectares of land, the university has 2 campuses, Samaru and the Kongo campus, with a total of 109 academic departments, 18 faculties, 11 research institutes, 5 colleges, and an array of specialized centers. ABU remains a continental academic powerhouse. Recognized by Times Higher Education (THE) as the best public university in Nigeria in 2024 and 2025, and ranked 21st in Sub-Saharan Africa for interdisciplinary science research outputs. ABU is setting the pace for higher education reform and innovation across Africa. With a dedicated academic workforce of over 776 professors and 311 readers, and an offering of 96 accredited undergraduate and 529 postgraduate programs, ABU is the most cosmopolitan and one of the most diverse universities in Nigeria, earning the 2025 National Admission Performance Merit Award by the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board (JAMB). ABU is future-focused. It has invested in over 70 kilometers of fiber optic backbone and secured 3 GPBs in dual bandwidth internet for reliable digital learning. Its printed circuit board lab, digital innovation lab, and hosting of the UNESCO ICHEI Nigeria National Center signify readiness to lead in digital transformation. A trailblazer in virtual education. 81.13% of oral examinations are now conducted virtually, and ABU's Distance Learning Center serves nearly 50,000 students globally, offering courses in business, health, social sciences, education and administration. In 2025, ABU sponsored 10 academic staff to participate in the Transnational Education Workshop by the Association of African Universities in Accra, Ghana. Long before that, in 2020, it rolled out its ICT policy, embedding a blended learning culture university-wide. With over 320 signed international partnerships, ABU collaborates with 19 universities in Africa, 19 in Europe, 18 in the United States, and 8 in Asia, including a successful 3+2 joint double degree program in railway
Ladies and
engineering
gentlemen,
with Central
attention,
South
please.
University,
I
China.
need your attention.
It also participates in Erasmus
seats are
Plus
clearly
exchange
labeled.
programs in urban planning, life
Please
sciences,
do not sit
and
on seats that
agricultural
are clearly
sciences,
labeled
bringing
for
students
others.
and staff from across
Because when they
continents
come in, the
into
procession is
ABU's
large,
academic ecosystem.
and when they come in, we may be
ABU
forced to
students
ask you to
continue to
kindly
shine on the
leave.
global stage.
So
At
please
the
do not
Inatus
sit
national
on seats
competition,
that are reserved
ABU's
for
team
the
emerged
procession.
champions, representing Nigeria at
Senate
the
members,
Erasmus World Cup.
HODs, and
In the
professors
Huawei ICT
that are
Global
joining the
Competition.
procession, their seats are clearly labeled.
Court competitions, affirming the depth of ABU's legal education. From engineering expos to innovation summits, ABU students continue to dominate competitions, fueled by strong academic mentorship and institutional support. ABU is home to 3 World Bank Africa Centers of Excellence: the Africa Center of Excellence for Neglected Tropical Diseases and Forensic Biotechnology, which recently secured a €5 million grant to develop AI-powered microscopes for diagnosing parasitic diseases. The African Center of Excellence on New Pedagogies in Engineering Education, Advancing New Pedagogies in Engineering Education and the Sustainable Procurement, Environmental and Social Standards Enhancement Center for Excellence, driving sustainable practices in procurement, environment and social standards. From AI in
Hello once again.
to sustainable
Please,
agriculture.
the owner of this vehicle, which is JHN 631 km. Please, his attention is needed. He needs to relocate his car from where it is, please, to either of the 2 wings that are allotted for the parking of cars. Then another one is MKA 418 KA. MKA 418 KA. Then JHN 631 km. And I hope the owner of KWL 231 DS has complied, as well as ABJ 750 AL. Thank you very much.
A serene landscape of rich vegetation, well-kept lawns, sit-out and relaxation spots and iconic fountains. The university also features one of the largest sporting infrastructures, making it an environment that truly inspires learning, creativity, and reflection. Students enjoy 3-star accommodations within campus, such as the CBN Center of Excellence, which features uninterrupted power supply, modern hostel facilities, and high-speed internet. Security is paramount. Located in close proximity within the Basawa military barracks, the university has a well-structured and well-trained security unit with active collaboration with national security agencies, ensuring a safe and secured learning environment for all. Ahmadu Bello University is not just ready for transnational education, it is already there. With a culture of global partnerships, digital learning infrastructure, and a
kashe 'yan baya na kula da yin ba 1988, Kenji hydropower plant was commissioned as night. Reservoir lake extending 136 kilometers upstream and 24 kilometers at its widest point. In the original plan, the plant was to have 12 generating units of 80 megawatts, each totaling an installed capacity of 960 megawatts. But by 1968, at the end of construction, only 8 generating units with a total installed capacity of 760 watts were leaving 4 empty pits. The Jeba hydropower plant was conceived and commissioned in 1985, consisting of 6 turbines, 0.4 megawatts, each totaling an installed capacity of 578.4 megawatts. Although this newer power plant helped to alleviate the paucity of electric power, the growing population required more. And as both hydropower plants ran continuously, wear and tear set in, further aggravated by the absence of statutory maintenance for over 40 years. This resulted in a predictable decline in the quality of power supply across the country.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention, please. I have stated this a number of times. There are seats reserved for the procession, and it's about to come in. We're going to ask you to kindly leave the seats if you are not sitting on the right one. Thank you.
In November 2013, Mainstream Energy Solutions Limited took over the 2 hydropower plants, the 760 megawatts Kenji hydropower plant and the 578.4 megawatts Jeba hydropower plant, totaling a combined installed capacity of 1,338.4 megawatts through a concession agreement with the federal government of Nigeria. For a better perspective, it is necessary to review the performance of both hydropower plants over time to assess the significant impact of Mainstream's investment and contribution to Nigeria's power sector. On the day of the takeover, none of the 8 installed generating units at the Kenji hydropower plant were operational, and the Jeba hydropower plant was running only 460 megawatts. Today, Mainstream Energy Solutions Limited is proud to have restored the energy generation in Kenji to 600 megawatts and increased Jeba's output to 578.4 megawatts, achieving a combined output of 1,178.4 megawatts. In 2014, both plants generated 3.2 million megawatt hours. Combining expertise, resilience, and focus, this figure went up to 3.8 million megawatt hours. By 2016, the total energy generated was 5.5 million megawatt hours, powering over 1.4 million homes and businesses, an amazing feat achieved in such a short period of time. In 2022, it continued its climb to 6 million megawatt hours, and by 2023, it stood at 6.4 million megawatt hours. We will continue to maintain this upward trajectory in our power generation. Despite the numerous challenges that persist till today, we currently generate more than 20% of Nigeria's energy need. In setting out to revamp the power plants, Mainstream Energy Solutions Limited drew up a capacity recovery and expansion plan in line with a concession agreement with the federal government of Nigeria. During the first phase of the capacity recovery plan, units 1G5, 1G6, and 1G12 with a combined capacity of 340 megawatts at Kenji plant were completed. The the recovery of Unit 1G7 with a capacity of 80 megawatts at Kenji plant, awarded to GE, a reputable engineering construction firm, was completed in 2022. The rehabilitation of Unit 1G9 with a capacity of 80 megawatts by Power China has been completed. As part of the deliverables identified in the first phase of the capacity recovery plan, Units 1G8 and 1G10 at the Kenji hydropower plant have also been scheduled for rehabilitation. At the Jeba hydropower plant, however, the contract for the rehabilitation of the only unavailable unit, 2G6, with 96.4 megawatts, was awarded to Andritz and was completed in October 2023. While Unit 2G5 with a capacity of 96.4 megawatts at Jeba hydropower plant has recently been rehabilitated by Andritz, bringing Jeba hydropower plant to its full capacity for the first time since 2009. Units 2G1, 2G2, 2G3, and 2G4 at Jeba hydropower plant have also been scheduled for statutory overhaul. So what does the future hold for Mainstream Energy Solutions Limited? What do we hope to achieve with such a sterling performance in such a short period of time? Our plan at Mainstream Energy Solutions Limited is to inject $108 million into the Kenji hydropower plant through a capacity expansion and recovery program. This investment is presently enabling the installation of 2 new turbines, 1G3 and 1G4, at the cost of $82 million in 2 of the existing 4 empty pits left during the construction of the Kenji hydropower plant. The installation of the 2 units is expected to be completed in 2026. Furthermore, the completed rehabilitation of Unit 1G9 by Power China cost approximately $26 million. Still on capacity expansion, in January 2024, the newly constructed 700 megawatts Zungeru hydropower plant, located in the River Kaduna in Niger State, was handed over to Mainstream's subsidiary company, Penstock Energy Limited, which emerged as the concessionaire of the plant after a competitive bidding process. The plant consists of 4 turbines, each having an installed capacity of 175 megawatts, with a reservoir capacity capable of storing 10.4 billion cubic meters of water and the potential of generating approximately 2.64 gigawatt hours of electricity annually. Mainstream Energy Solutions Limited has also entered a service agreement with Kashimbila Power Limited, KPL, to operate and maintain the 40 megawatts Kashimbila hydropower plant across the Katsina-Ala River, located in Taraba State. The hydropower plant has 4 turbines of 10 megawatts each and a reservoir capacity of 500 million cubic meters. Mainstream can now boast of a total installed capacity of 2,078.4 megawatts. From all 4 hydropower plants in our operations, we are consolidating our position as an industry leader in the power sector of Nigeria with a total installed capacity of 2,078.4 megawatts. This will further increase our capacity for bilateral power sales through power purchase agreements in line with
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon to everyone. Can we please all locate our seats as we prepare for the commencement of the event? Our guest lecturer is already at the Senate building and they will be here with us shortly. We have ushers available to lead you to the conveniences in case you need to ease yourself during the course of the event. I crave your indulgence to be a little patient as the activity will soon commence fully. Can we please settle down and locate our seats, please?
Fisheries for various skill.
We have reserved seats. Okay. Let me, where are you located? Yeah, Roma.
I'll tell you. No about me. As earlier announced, the activity will soon commence, as our guest lecturer is already here on campus and will be joining us shortly. I urge us to settle down, all locate our seats, and get ready for the commencement of the lecture. Thank you very much. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, may I kindly request that we rise and remain standing as we receive the academic procession. May we all rise. And we clear the pathways for the procession. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, may we remain standing for the rendition of the national anthem, followed by the ABU anthem. National anthem, please. ABU anthem. Please be seated. To commit today's program into the hands of the Almighty, may I invite Professor Caraway to give an opening prayer for us, please. Professor Caraway.
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Thank you very much for that opening prayer. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed members of the academic community, principal officers, and our cherished guests. It is my distinct honor and pleasure to welcome you all to the 45th Pre-Convocation Lecture of the esteemed Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. Today is a significant day as we gather in the spirit of intellectual pursuit and celebration of academic excellence. We are truly privileged to have in our midst a gathering of exceptional leaders and thinkers, particularly our chairman of today's event, our distinguished lecturer. The stage is set for a profound experience that promises to enlighten and inspire. We thank you all for gracing this occasion. I would want to start by introducing members of the high table already seated. Representing the chairman of today's event. Ladies and gentlemen, the chairman of today's event was to be the former president of Nigeria. We are profoundly honored to have as our chairman today a true elder statesman, a global leader, a pivotal figure in Nigeria and Africa as a whole, the former head of state of Nigeria, and two-term president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. He's here today represented by the Pro-Chancellor of Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, Mahmoud Yayali Ahmed, Katagum, Ajian Katagum, CFR. Also already seated on the high table, we have none other than the Chancellor of Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. May I respectfully acknowledge the presence of His Royal Majesty, Igwe Inameka Alfred Achebe, CFR, Abogidi, the Obi of Incha, and Chancellor Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. Our guest lecturer needs little introduction, yet her resume commands the greatest respect. She's a globally renowned economist and international development expert, currently serving as the 7th Director General of the World Trade Organization. The first woman and the first African to hold that position. Here in Nigeria, we know her as a transformational figure, having served twice as Minister of Finance, coordinating the economy and driving significant reforms, including the historic debt relief deal that repositioned our nation's finances. She is a woman of immense intellect, integrity, and impact. Please join me in warmly welcoming a true daughter of the soil, a global icon, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, GCON. Thank you very much. We have with us His Excellency, Right Honorable Sheriff Francis Oroebodo Oborore-Wori, the Executive Governor of Delta State. A round of applause for him, please. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, may I respectfully recognize the presence of our highly revered royal father, the custodian of history and culture, and the traditional head of our host community. His Highness, the Emir of Zazzau, Alhaji Dr. Ahmed Nuhu Bamali, CFR. The Pro-Chancellor has already been introduced because he's representing the chairman of today's event. We have the Executive Secretary of NUC, Professor Abdullahi Yusuf Ribadu. A round of applause for him, please. We have seated next to our guest lecturer, none other than her husband, Dr. Ikemba Iweala. Also already seated on the high table, we have the founder, Ama Pharmaceuticals, Alhaji Abdullahi Musa Bello. You're welcome, sir. Right Reverend and Right Honorable Justin Welby, GCVO, former Archbishop of Canterbury. He delivered a profound lecture yesterday and he's here with us today. You're welcome, sir. We have the Chairman, CEO, Ama Pharmaceuticals Limited, Professor Abdul Salam Nasidi. A round of applause for him. You're welcome, sir. From Mainstream Energy Solutions, Olivia Oyibo, Communications Manager representing the company. You're welcome. I would want to add that they renovated this auditorium in which we're seated. A round of applause for Mainstream once again. Thank you very much. I would want to recognize each and every one of us here seated today for this program, the members of Ahmadu Bello University Senate Congregation, former vice chancellors, the alumni president worldwide, and former alumni presidents are also with us. Visiting vice chancellors, rectors, provosts, commandants, and head of security agencies. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish to welcome each and every one of us here today. A round of applause for each and every one of us, please. It is now my honor to invite the Vice Chancellor of Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, Professor Adamu Ahmed, to deliver the welcome address. A round of applause for him as he comes to the lectern.
Thank you. Your Excellency, former President, Federal Republic of Nigeria, expected to be the chairman of this very important lecture, is unavoidably absent today, but is being ably represented by the chairman of the Governing Council, Alhaji Okonjo-Iweala Ahmed, the executive governor of Delta State, who has created time to be here, Your Excellency, the executive governor of Kaduna State, who will soon be here, the executive secretary, National Universities Commission, the chancellor of our great university, Igwe Alfred Nnameka Achebe, Abogedi, His Highness the Emir of Zazzau, Ambassador Malam Ahmed Nuhu Bamali, His Highness the Emir of Zuru, who has found time to be here, members of National Assembly and the State Houses of Assembly, honorable ministers here, honorable commissioners, members of the University Council, members of Senate, professors, lecturers, our dear students, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is my honor and pleasure on behalf of the Council, Senate, staff, students, and alumni of our great university to warmly welcome you to this pre-convocation lecture, one of the most cherished intellectual traditions of universities across the world. Founded with a clear national mandate and a Pan-African outlook, this university has, for over 6 decades, served as a meeting point of ideas, cultures, and aspirations, producing graduates and thought leaders who have contributed not only to Nigeria's development, but to Africa's engagement with the wider world. From this campus in Zaria, ideas have never recognized borders. They have traveled across Nigeria, across Africa, and into the world. We're equally proud to be the most cosmopolitan university in Nigeria, drawing students and scholars from every part of this federation and producing leaders who have served as governors, ministers, technocrats, and public servants across the country, from north to south, to east and the west, amongst whom is one of the most accomplished governors, Mr. Donald Duke of Cross River State. This is besides several governors and ministers that this university has produced from the northern part of the country. It is therefore most fitting that today's lecture brings global economic thought into dialogue with African experience and ambition. We are profoundly honored to host as our guest lecturer a distinguished daughter of Africa, a global economic thought leader and one of Nigeria's most accomplished public servant, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, GCFR. The current Director General of the World Trade Organization, someone also due to be conferred with the honorary degree of this great institution tomorrow. Her leadership at the World Trade Organization at a time of profound global economic uncertainty and transformation resonates strongly with the values of this university that has long upheld, which are excellence, service, and principled global engagement. Madam Director General, we are deeply grateful that you have chosen to share your time, insights, and global perspectives with our academic community. Your presence here today is both an inspiration to our graduating students and a reaffirmation of the capacity of Africans to shape, lead, and reform global institutions. We would have loved to have His Excellency, former President Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, GCFR, your boss, who you had chosen to chair this lecture, but who unfortunately, for technical reasons, is unable to join us this evening. We all know Chief Olusegun Obasanjo is a proud holder also of honorary degree of this great institution. We definitely would have loved to see him here. His lifelong commitment to national service, African solidarity, and global peace continues to inspire this university community and the continent at large. I must specially recognize the attendance at today's event of the Right Reverend and Right Honorable Justin Welby, former Archbishop of Canterbury, who has graciously adjusted his flight to grace this and tomorrow's event. Your goodwill certainly can and will never be taken for granted. Distinguished guests, the Pre-Convocation Lecture provides a platform for rigorous engagement between scholarship and policy, between national priorities and global realities, and between generations of leaders. As we celebrate these 45th convocation ceremonies, we are reminded that the true measure of a university lies not only in the degrees it awards, but in the ideas it advances and the futures it helps to shape. Ahmadu Bello University remains steadfast in its commitment to providing graduates equipped with knowledge, character, and outlook, graduates prepared to serve Nigeria, Africa, and humanity with distinction as Dr. Okonjo-Iweala is currently doing. Finally, let me take this moment to officially thank the co-sponsors of this lecture, Mainstream Energies Foundation, for upgrading this edifice to a befitting standard that complements events like this. And certainly, and very important, Ama Medical Manufacturing Industries, led by the founder, Alhaji Musa Abdullahi, for facilitating and hosting our pre-convocation lecturer. This he similarly did by enabling us to host successfully yesterday's public lecture. Again, we can't thank them enough for their sponsorship of yesterday's public lecture and other developments on our campus. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, you are most welcome to this great university. I'd like to thank you, and may God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria and our institution, Ahmadu Bello University. Thank you.
A round of applause for the Vice Chancellor. For the introduction and citation of the chairman of the occasion, I would want to call on the university orator, a senior professor from the Faculty of Law, Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, former deputy dean of the Faculty of Law, and the head of the Department of Commercial Law. I would want to welcome to the stage none other than Professor Augustine Agwom. A round of applause for him, please.
Our distinguished invited guests, esteemed members of the university community, kindly permit me to adopt the protocol already ably set by the MC. Citation of His Excellency, Chief Olusegun Matthew Okikiola Aremu, Obasanjo, GCFR, chairman of this pre-convocation lecture, who is today very ably represented by the Pro-Chancellor and Chairman Governing Council of this great citadel of learning, Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. The chairman of this event is an enigma. He studied in Britain. He was in the Royal College of Military Engineering in Chatham, School of Survey in Newbury. He was at the Indian Defense Staff College and the Indian Army School of Engineering. At the British Royal Engineers Young Officers School in Chippenham, he won first prize and a citation as the best Commonwealth student ever. As a professional soldier, he rose to the pinnacle of military service as a general in the Nigerian Army and was Nigeria's head of state from 1976 to 1979. On assumption of office as military head of state, he signaled his preparedness to return Nigeria to a democratic nation with the complements of full democratic institutions. Adopted the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in 1979, modeled after the US Constitution, the way for the return to a democratically elected government in 1979. He became the first leader to voluntarily transfer power to a civilian government in Nigeria. This epochal event marked a watershed in the evolution of democratic culture in Nigeria. Before he left office, he sought to migrate Nigeria to the industrialized age by the establishment of so many viable enterprises, including the Ajaokuta Steel Company. In the area of education, he introduced the universal primary education nationwide. And to his credit, under him, the number of universities in Nigeria grew from 5 to 13. His foreign policy at the time was built on mutual reciprocal respect and fairness for everyone. He promoted the African peer review mechanism to enable African countries grow on the GIZ development model, and this provided the seed and watered the ground for NEPAD and what we have now, the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. In 1999, when he was elected as a civilian president, he established so many institutions that we cannot forget in a hurry. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offenses Commission, and strengthening the Code of Corporate Governance, the Code of Conduct Bureau. And these agencies fought corruption to a halt. He ran an inclusive government and attracted to participate in government some of Nigeria's finest technocrats from different parts of the world, including our guest lecturer today. At the end of his tenure in 2007, the Nigerian economy had grown from 3% to 6% GDP. Foreign reserve had mopped up to a whopping $43 billion and secured unprecedented debt pardon for the country from the Paris and London creditors. He's a reformer par excellence. And his deregulation and liberalization telecommunication sector ushered in an era of unprecedented mobile telephony in Nigeria, ICT penetration, and unbundled huge employment and investment opportunities in the sector. OBJ, as he's fondly called, is widely decorated with over 50 national and international recognitions, among which is the Grand Commander of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and United Nations Special Envoy for his role in resolving crises in Democratic Republic of Congo and in many troubled African countries. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, may I respectfully ask you to please stand as I invite this great Nigerian and African hero, a compassionate father, a visionary global leader who is today very ably represented by our own Pro-Chancellor and Chairman of the Governing Council, Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. Please, can we please arise? Thank you, sir. I will invite the representative of the chairman to give us his welcome address. Thank you. You may sit, please. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله على نبي الكريم. Well. Today is certainly a different ball game. Yesterday, we were here, we listened and learned from Right Reverend Welby. Today, I have been drafted to chair an occasion who should ordinarily be chaired by my leader and the boss, President Olusegun Obasanjo. I hesitated accepting this particular role this afternoon, but my chancellor, for whom I always give the greatest respect, directed me that I should do that. Apart from that, I also remembered well that there was a day President Obasanjo was receiving the late Oni of Ife, Sijuade, and the late Emir of Kano, Ado Bayero, in his office. Suddenly we were to go for a function. Then we were confronted with a protocol issue that ordinarily President should not leave behind anybody, no matter how highly placed, in his office without him being present. And President Obasanjo, practical as he is always, decided to say, head of service, you should not follow me. I have given you temporary, devolved my duty as a president to keep port for me and take care of these two special Nigerians. Therefore, with that kind of background, I stand before you with confidence that President Obasanjo, having delegated something to me earlier, would not hesitate to welcome my being his representative. Honorable Chancellor, sir, Your Excellency is the Governor of Delta State. Our guest lecturer, my sister, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, the Director General of World Trade Organization, a very pleasant lady, always and every day. Your husband, whom I knew long, long ago, and who has remained faithful to your success and to wherever you go. Right Honorable, Right Reverend Walbe, we cannot thank you enough for again being with us this afternoon. Your Highness, the Emir of Zazzau, you have clearly shown that you are not only the landlord, but a caring landlord. Executive Secretary NUC, my brother, Professor Badu, the founder of Mainstream Energy, my younger brother, Abdullahi Musa Bello. And even though I don't know this beautiful young lady, I recognize your presence. Other dignitaries here, members of the University Council, members of Senate, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you all to this very special lecture. The topic of our lecture today is challenges and opportunities for Africa and Nigeria in the present global geopolitical and geostrategic context. Only Ngozi can do justice to this. You have to know, at this point in time, that your geography, your location, determines your strategy. If you are placed in Nigeria and you claim to be the giant of Africa, you have to be strategic enough to translate the geography, size, and all other things into being an effective leader in Africa. Otherwise, smaller countries with deeper strategies will come and overtake you. Dr. Ngozi will tell us how to do this. The guest lecturer will be introduced to you, but I personally want to tell you that we have worked closely with her. When she was invited to abandon her job as Vice President of World Bank, she came before her appointment to attend our retreat. And I remember, because of her sheer patriotism and other zeal to this nation, she reluctantly, at first, accepted, but gladly and successfully served her nation. I remember very well being part of the Executive Council then. If President Obasanjo is short of funds, and Ngozi, in her characteristic professionalism, would say that, Mr. President, there is no money. I cannot manufacture money, Mr. President. Obasanjo would do like this. Ngozi, 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 please check again. She would finally look at her books, do some magics, and say, Mr. President, I can do half. And President Obasanjo would say, thank you very much. She could not be bent to do things that are out of the ordinary just to satisfy the leaders. That is why we in Nigeria are very, very lucky to have her. To have her to occupy important seats. She is a woman of character. She has integrity. She has uncommon reputation. Reputation internationally as somebody who could be relied upon anytime, any day, anywhere. Reputation of humanity, because whenever President Obasanjo introduced reforms, she would come to my office or invite me to her office to say, how do we implement this with a human face? And one thing I could tell you about our guest lecturer today from my little knowledge, personal knowledge, is that Dr. Ngozi is always very angry with any corrective tendency of anybody in government. She is here with her humility, but as a lady who has seen it all, to educate us. I therefore wish to congratulate Ahmadu Bello University for having two special individuals of international repute between today and yesterday to be our guest lecturers. I'm sure the students of this university would find it a source of pride to always refer to this week. I therefore like to acknowledge the excellent leadership we have been receiving from our chancellor, the Obi of Onitsha. Sir, Dalu for your fatherly guidance. Dalu, Dalu, Dalu. The young vice chancellor, they told me, is trying. Please try. 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 I would like this university community to really be a community, to know your geographical location, which used to describe the university, the largest university south of Cairo and north of Johannesburg. I even don't know whether we have not taken over, in terms of size, the Cairo universities and the Johannesburg universities, including Cape Town. But here we are. We have seen that Nigeria is one. Unity is our greatest weapon. And unless we design our strategy to escape from the international world order, this is bipolar, which used to be bipolar, but now unipolar, with somebody in America who is in control of virtually everything. It is only our strategy, identifying our potentials and keeping to do them correctly, continuously, and responsibly. Please relax and listen to this uncommon lady of substance. I welcome you and I thank you.
Thank you very much, the chairman of today's event. It's my singular honor to introduce and read the citation of our guest lecturer. May I request our guest lecturer to rise as I read her citation. Round of applause for her, please. Citation of Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala as guest lecturer, Pre-Convocation Lecture for the 45th Convocation Ceremony of Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. Our speaker is a global finance expert, an economist and international development professional with over 40 years of cognate working experience in Asia, Africa, Europe, Latin America, and North America. Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala is currently the Director General, WTO, the first woman and the first African to hold this post in the 30 years history of the WTO and 80 years history of the General of the Trade Tariffs. Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala had a brilliant 25-year career at the World Bank as a managing director. As a managing director, she had oversight responsibility for an $81 billion operational portfolio in Africa, South Asia, Europe, and Central Africa. She spearheaded several World Bank initiatives to assist low-income countries during the 2008-2009 food financial crisis. In 2010, she chaired the World Bank's successful drive to raise $49.3 billion in grants and low-interest credits for the poorest countries in the world. She was formerly the chair of the board of Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance. She was appointed as African Union and WHO Special Envoy to mobilize international finance support and access to vaccines for the fight against COVID-19. She was previously on the boards of Standard Chartered Bank PLC, Twitter Incorporated, and served as senior advisor to Lazard Incorporated. She is a skilled negotiator and has brokered numerous agreements with positive outcomes for countries around the world. She is firm, but very humane, a consensus builder, and enjoys the trust and confidence of peoples and leaders across the world. She is an advocate of the power of trade to lift developing countries out of poverty and to achieve robust economic growth and sustainable development. Our speaker today served as Nigeria's finance minister 2003 to 2006 and subsequently 2011 to 2015, and briefly as the foreign minister in 2006. Under her watch, the Nigerian economy undertook very critical economic reforms to reposition it for the future. As a Minister of Finance in Nigeria, she spearheaded negotiations with the Paris Club of Creditors that led to the wiping out of $30 billion of Nigeria's debt. She was responsible for leading reforms that enhanced transparency of government accounts and strengthened institutions against corruption, including the implementation of the Government Integrated Financial Management System, the Integrated Personnel and Payroll Management System, and the Treasury Single Account. For her sterling contributions, she was named Finance Minister of the Year, Africa Investor Magazine 2014, Finance Minister of the Year for Africa and the Middle East, The Banker 2004, Global Minister of the Year, Euromoney 2005, Finance Minister of the Year for Africa and Middle East, Emerging Markets Magazine 2005, and the Minister of the Year, This Day newspaper 2004 and 2005. She has been recognized and honored as one of the most influential women in our time by top tabloids across the world. 9 times by Forbes magazine, Times Magazine, Financial Times, Fortune Times, UK Guardian, and the Newsweek of Nigeria's This Day newspaper. She parades several medals of Award of Excellence and membership of professional and reputable institutions across the world. She was honored by the government of Cameroon with the Commander of the National Order of Valor, the government of Kazakhstan with the prestigious Order of Dostik, Friendship, from Brazil, the Grand Cross of the Order of Rio Branco, the Democratic Republic of Timor-Leste, the Collar of the Order of Timor-Leste, High National Honors from the Republics of Cote d'Ivoire and the Republic of Liberia. In 2020, she was also appointed to the Presidential Economic Advisory Council for the President of South Africa, His Excellency Cyril Ramaphosa. At home, she holds Nigeria's second highest national honor, Grand Commander of the Order of the Niger, 2022. And Nigeria's third highest national honor, Grand Commander of the Federal Republic, CFR. She is a distinguished visiting fellow at the Center for Global Development and at the Brookings Institution, Premier Washington, D.C. think tanks. She is also an Angelopoulos Global Public Leader at Harvard University Kennedy School, an IGP Carnegie Distinguished Fellow at Columbia University, and a Fellow of the Lucy Cavendish College, Cambridge University, 2025. Dr. Okonjo-Iweala established Nigerian Sovereign Wealth Fund, Development Bank of Nigeria, Nigeria Housing Refinance Corporation, and the Pension Transitional Administration. She graduated magna cum laude with an AB in economics from Harvard University and earned a PhD in regional economics and development from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, in 1981. She has received honorary degrees from 21 universities worldwide: University, UK, US, Tel Aviv, Jamaica, it goes on and on. She has authored of not fewer than 5 renowned books, published numerous well-researched articles, and delivered hundreds of speeches and keynotes at global occasions. Dr. Okonjo-Iweala is married to neurosurgeon Dr. Ikemba Iweala. They have 4 children and 7 grandchildren. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, may I respectfully ask you to please stand as I invite this great Nigerian, Dr. Okonjo-Iweala, to deliver the Pre-Convocation Lecture of the 45th Convocation of Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I feel so warmly welcome that I might just stay here with you. Please bear with me while I go through the protocols. I'm so happy to be here and to see all of you. I really am. Thank you so much. The visitor to Ahmadu Bello University, Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, ably represented by Professor Said Ahmad, Honorable Minister of State for Education. I don't know if he's here, but I have it in my protocol. Your Excellency Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, GCFR, my former boss, former President of the Republic of Nigeria, ably represented by my wonderful brother, Chair of the Governing Council, Alhaji Ahmed Yayale. Thank you so much. Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of Kaduna State, Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of Delta State, and from 2 states, Delta and Abia, and he made his way here. Thank you so much for honoring me. Tomorrow you have my other governor, the Governor of Abia State, will be here. Distinguished senators and honorable members of the House of Representatives and State Houses of Assembly, members of the Federal Executive Council, Your Majesty Nnemeka Alfred Ugochukwu Achebe, CFR, the Obi of Onitsha, Abogidi. Thank you so much for reaching out to me. Your Highness, the Emir of Zazzau, Malam Ahmad Nuhu by Mali, CFR, thank you so much for having me. Your Highness, the Emir of Zuru, the Executive Secretary, National Universities Commission, Chairman and members of the Ahmadu Bello University Governing Council, Right Reverend and Right Honorable Justin Welby, it's wonderful to have you here. Members of the Ahmadu Bello University Senate and Congregation, former Vice Chancellors of Ahmadu Bello University, visiting Chancellors, Pro-Chancellors, Vice Chancellors, Rectors, Provosts, Commandants and Heads of Security Agencies, the President of Ahmadu Bello University Alumni Association. I'd like to recognize a special person, Alhaji Musa Bello, one of our most able philanthropists, and I'd like to also recognize a special person whom all of you have already clapped for, my wonderful husband. Of 47 years. And I tell you, it's like it was yesterday. Okay? So marriage is a good thing. Marriage is a good thing. He's a neurosurgeon, but he's always there when I need him. Gentlemen and ladies of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and now I'd really like to recognize the amazing students here. I just want you to give yourself 3 bosas. Let's give them. Bosa. Bosa. Good. Sir. Bosa. So thank you. I hope I didn't mess up anything in the protocol. So distinguished faculty, and the faculty looks really impressive. Thank you so much for waiting out in the sun for so long. Dear faculty staff, proud parents and families, most importantly, the graduates. I'd also like to thank the Association of Igbo Women of the University who came out to welcome me. Thank you. I don't know where you are. Thank you all for the immense honor of inviting me to address you today on the topic of challenges and opportunities for Africa and Nigeria in the present global geopolitical and geostrategic context. You know what Alaji told me? Alaji, he said, too much Turenchi. He said, only you will come with those words geopolitical and geostrategic. Before I start, even though he's not here and is ably represented, I'd like to thank President Obasanjo, who had accepted to chair the lecture today, and if not for the problems with planes, he would have been here. He, with past and present heads of state, including President John Mahama of Ghana, is grappling with Africa's position in a changing world through a new and very interesting approach called the Accra Reset, which they just presented at Davos, and we were all there together. It's always a pleasure to come home to Nigeria, but it's particularly special to be here at one of the country's most important seats of learning. It may feel like ancient history to the students here, but I'm old enough to remember when our country gained its freedom, became independent. Our erstwhile colonial masters, and please don't be upset at me, Archbishop Welby, but our erstwhile colonial masters thought higher education was wasted on Africans. At independence in 1960, we had only one degree granting institution in Ibadan. So one of the first tasks of building our nation was to build universities. Since its founding in 1962 as the University of Northern Nigeria, this institution has grown rapidly with a wide-ranging program of courses from engineering, medicine, and the sciences to languages, the arts, Islamic studies, and public administration. Ahmadu Bello University has played a vital role in the social, cultural, and economic life of our country. Its thousands and thousands of graduates include teachers, doctors, senior political figures, and top business leaders and entrepreneurs. Research conducted here has advanced the frontier of knowledge and offered practical solutions to problems from animal feed shortages during the dry season to generating wind power in rural areas where wind speeds are highly variable. And while the university's impact has been particularly strong here in the north, it has drawn students from across the entire country, in keeping with Sir Ahmadu Bello's vision that it would, and I quote, impart knowledge and learning to men and women of all races without any distinction on the grounds of race, religion, or political beliefs, end quote. I had intended not to mention any illustrious alumni by name since there are so many, but I will make one exception because of a link to the World Trade Organization. Throughout the negotiations on our new agreement on curbing harmful fisheries subsidies, which lead to illegal and unreported fishing of our oceans and costs Africa almost $12 billion a year, governments and civil society groups drew on the work of Dr. Rashid Sumaila, a professor of ocean economics at the University of British Columbia in Canada. His groundbreaking research to quantify harmful subsidies and understand how they affect marine fish stocks and people's livelihoods directly contributed to a landmark sustainability-focused World Trade Organization agreement, which entered into force just a few months ago. Professor Sumaila received his BSc in quantity surveying from Ahmadu Bello University. Turning to my topic for today, I want to talk about the current tumult in the world and how Africa and Nigeria should be seeking to navigate it. As disheartening as the news often is these days, from Sudan to Greenland, I'm convinced that this crisis presents opportunities for the continent and for the nation. But to seize these opportunities, our leaders will need to step up at home and build stronger investment and commercial ties across the region. They must also reach out to the rest of the world, not as a supplicant for a shrinking pool of aid, but as an attractive destination for investment and trade, as the workforce and the market of the future, and as a source of diversification and resilience in the global economy. Let us take a step back and look at the changes in a world that feels like it has gone haywire. The international order of rules, norms, and institutions is facing disruptions unseen since its creation following the Second World War. The global trading system is at the epicenter of this disruption. And so is my institution, the World Trade Organization. How should we think about the ongoing turbulence? Let's picture the world in 1945, when war and economic turmoil led governments to say never again, an attempt to create a system in which countries and people could contain conflicts, trade with each other, and rise together peacefully. In 1945, however, most countries were colonies. It is not as if Africans were untouched by the war. From our country alone, tens of thousands of soldiers fought under the British banner in Burma and the Middle East. Nigerian airfields were used by the British and American air forces en route to North Africa, and Nigerians provided material support to the Allied war effort, whether they wanted to or not. But the choice to go to war was not ours. The rules that underpinned the post-war peace were not written for us, let alone by us. And yet, the world of multilateralism and globalization has delivered substantially, if imperfectly. The open global economy created conditions in which national boats were able to rise, and many did, though some more than others. Peace is a prerequisite for sustained growth, and the post-1945 absence of wars between great powers may be history's longest such period, although proxy wars were fought in Africa and other regions. Faster growth in poor countries, enabled by open international trade, helped lift 1.5 billion people out of extreme poverty globally since the early 1990s. While Africa did not benefit as much as some other regions from this recent wave of globalization, extreme poverty rates did decline from over half to closer to a third, though population growth meant that the overall number of poor people increased. But what the open global economy provided was the prospect and hope that if Africa got its house in order, it too could reap growth and development gains. This net positive record should make us question those who now say we should walk away from the rules-based multilateral order rather than improve it. It sometimes seems like just as Africa is getting ready to climb the ladder others used to improve themselves, those who created that ladder are now saying, wait a minute, the system doesn't work for us anymore, and we want to pull the ladder away. And we are saying no. Why is this happening? It may be because in rich countries, there are significant segments of the population, poor people and poor regions, who feel the system is not working for them. It may also be that the lessons of history have been forgotten and the benefits generated by an 80-year-old system are being taken for granted. But on deeper reflection, I think there are more fundamental forces at work here that are causing the backlash in some developed countries, principally the US, against the rules-based multilateral system. Let me highlight this by talking about 5 key shifts that I see globally. First, there is the economic shift. In 1995, advanced economies accounted for about 60% of the global economic output in purchasing power parity terms, and developing countries only 40%. Today, these shares have reversed. Developing countries now account for 60% of global output and advanced countries for 40%. China was a big part of this story, but not the only part. Other developing economies also grew. ASEAN countries like Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, and Vietnam followed in the footsteps of the original East Asian tiger economies of Japan, Korea, and Taiwan, Chinese Taipei, we call it at the WTO, and Singapore. We saw the rise of India and other emerging markets. Similar patterns were seen in global trade between 1995 and 2024. The share of low and middle income economies in global goods and services exports doubled from 16 to 32%. South-South trade went from 1/10 of global goods trade to about 25% today. The rebalancing of global economic output and performance has spawned anxiety and resentment within rich countries. This is one significant factor behind the end of overseas development aid as we know it. Countries feeling squeezed at home are less generous abroad. The USA has sharply cut back its aid spend, and European aid is under pressure as governments prioritize defense expenditures and rearmament in a changing world order in which the US seems no longer to want to be the guarantor of European security, and instead could even contribute to their insecurity. The second shift relates to inequality, particularly within countries. Stock markets are booming, while ordinary people are getting left behind. A report to the G20 last November from an expert group led by Joseph Stiglitz, the Nobel Economics laureate, pointed to a global increase in incomes and wealth at the upper end of the scale, with those at the top getting an increasing share of national income and wealth. In other words, what economists call K-shaped recoveries, where the rich get richer while others lag behind. This is not just economically and socially damaging, it is a recipe for political anger. To quote Professor Stiglitz, the only true and sustainable prosperity is shared prosperity. Moreover, while inter-country income gaps have come down, too many poor countries, many of them in Africa, have remained on the margins. A new World Bank report notes that around 1 in 4 developing economies had per capita incomes last year that were lower than in 2019. The third shift is a technological shift, or rather, a succession of technological shifts. Most dramatically, the internet and now AI that have made it easier to communicate, produce, and trade. But as with previous waves of new technology, not everyone has shared in the gains. Some workers have been disempowered and even thrown out of jobs, exacerbating the inequality problems. This is not merely an advanced country phenomenon. Automation is seen as a factor in declining peak rates of industrial employment within many developing economies, dubbed premature deindustrialization. The fourth shift is an environmental and climate shift. Climate loss and damage, adaptation and mitigation impose unequal burdens across countries and within them. Biodiversity loss has accelerated with enormous potential implications for everything from agriculture to pharmaceutical development. The World Meteorological Organization estimates that African countries on average are losing 2 to 5% of GDP due to climate change, with many diverting as much as 9% of their budgets responding to the consequences of extreme weather. And finally, a demographic shift, as falling birth rates across much of the world have spawned anxiety, with heightened fears about immigration alongside labor market shortages. Africa is the last continent with strong population growth, a point that I'll come back to shortly. The reality is that global frameworks and multilateral organizations, including the WTO, have not responded adequately enough to these strains and stresses. At the WTO today, our members' collective failure to address long-standing perceptions that the playing field for competition in trade is not level or fair has contributed to today's disruptions in trade and to the undermining of global trade rules. These disruptions and the shifts I talked about can appear frightening. But the issue is, what are the implications for us in Africa and in Nigeria? First, we must support the rules-based global order and multilateralism, because without it, we will live in a power-based transactional order where might makes right. Guess who would lose? Who would lose most in a power-based system? Those poorer countries who have not yet had a chance to climb the ladder of prosperity, of course. In addition, we must recognize that we remain exposed to a global set of problems which can only be solved through international cooperation, such as pandemics, climate change, and water security, among others. So the question is not whether we support multilateralism or a rules-based order or not. The issue is, what type of multilateralism? It cannot be the multilateralism of old. We must reform our rules and institutions to make them more nimble and responsive to new global opportunities such as artificial intelligence and emerging quantum computing technologies. And nations must be able to come together in new plurilateral coalitions to take advantage of new opportunities in what some, like Prime Minister McCartney, recently called variable geometry. Second, we must look more to ourselves, meaning we must see how we can strengthen our own economies and our countries, introduce more economic security and prosperity both nationally and regionally. We can no longer depend on any other nation coming to assist us with aid. Those days are over. They are over. Each country needs to look at its economic foundations and ask itself, am I doing everything I can for the economy? We have to clean up our internal economic management and make ourselves more attractive for investment by domestic, regional, and global investors. We need to grow our economies and create jobs, particularly in this country. When I travel around and I see the enormous numbers of young people, including young graduates, who are on our streets and in our homes without jobs, I know we have to create jobs. The goal for Nigeria and Africa needs to be to double GDP growth rates to 6 or 7% and to sustain the higher pace long enough to transform people's living standards and economic prospects. We know this is within reach because some countries in the continent are showing the way. Over the past decade, Ethiopia averaged 7.6% growth per year on the back of important structural reforms. Rwanda grew at 6.9% and Cote d'Ivoire at 6%. According to the African Development Bank, 11 of the world's 20 fastest growing economies in 2024 were African. As I said, Ethiopia, Rwanda, Cote d'Ivoire, Senegal, among others. These countries are demonstrating to the continent and to the world that African economies can grow when their priorities are right. Accelerating growth and development in Nigeria is particularly important. Our economy is projected to expand by a respectable 4.4% this year, according to the latest IMF projections. But once you factor in population growth of over 2%, 2.5%, per capita living standards will rise by only a bit more than 2% per year. So we need to do better. We need to double our yearly growth rate. The whole continent's economy is being held back by sluggish growth in sub-Saharan Africa's economic giants, Nigeria, Angola, and South Africa, which together account for nearly 60% of the region's GDP. Nigeria alone represents close to 70% of ECOWAS GDP in purchasing power parity terms. We also need to strengthen our economic performance by accelerating our regional integration through the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. This is a great instrument that could increase intra-African trade by as much as 45% by 2045, according to the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa. Fully implementing the agreement could boost GDP by 7% above trend by 2035, while sharply increasing domestic and foreign investment and lifting 40 million people out of poverty, according to the World Bank. Key to better national and regional economic performance is greater value addition to our products. Africa's exports are still 60% raw materials and commodities. When the bulk of export income comes from raw commodities, economies are heavily exposed to price volatility. A moderate drop in prices can be enough to provide huge fiscal shocks and balance of payments and debt crisis. Spurring more manufacturing and value added would increase resilience and reduce volatility whilst creating more and better jobs for our young people. This brings me to the third set of ways Africa and Nigeria should be responding to the shifts in the world around us to benefit from them. We must look at the opportunities offered by the new disrupted landscape and work to seize them. The opportunities are real. I see them every day, and we have no excuses not to take better advantage of them. The present crisis has only served to underscore the perils of over-dependence on China for key supplies and inputs, and on the United States for market demand. Businesses and countries were already working to reduce supply chain risks through diversification and deconcentration of sourcing and markets, what we at the WTO are calling re-globalization. Africa can benefit from re-globalization by attracting supply chain investment in a wide range of sectors, from labor-intensive manufacturing to critical mineral and processing, to pharmaceuticals, to renewable energy and agro-processing. We have the capacity to take processing of our critical minerals all the way to the manufacture of EV batteries. Imports of renewable energy technology have helped to make solar and wind power cheaper than grid electricity, let alone diesel generators. But we should be looking to manufacture all these items that we import at home, not just to import them. This will create more jobs for our young people. Africa has 60% of the world's solar energy potential, but attracts only 2% of its solar power investment. I know it's changing, but we have to work harder to attract that investment. In discussions with China, I encourage them to come and invest in solar plants here and manufacture and produce here instead of sending us the solar panels. Let our leaders make the appropriate investment in the investment environment here to make that happen. This continent and this country has a lot going for it. On an aging planet, our young populations represent the world's talent pool of the future. By 2050, Africa is on track to account for about 25% of the global working age population. Africa is emerging as a major market in its own right. The number of middle-class people in North Africa and Sub-Saharan Africa combined, defined as individuals spending the purchasing power parity equivalent of between $13 and $130 per day, will rise from 279 million today to 844 million in 2050, according to World Data Lab. That is about double the current number of middle-class people in India. Africa has abundant arable land and mineral wealth. The US Geological Survey estimates that the continent holds nearly 30% of the world's known mineral reserves, including coveted rare earths and minerals, critical for the low-carbon transition. And if we leverage our abundant solar and wind, as I said, we can envision a future of African regional supply chains with mineral processing powered by clean energy, which is good for jobs, good for growth, good for the planet. These are not abstract examples. Some of these opportunities are already being realized. Ethiopia has attracted investment in labor-intensive manufacturing, textiles, leather, and so forth. Morocco and South Africa are part of the global automotive supply chain, and Morocco is increasingly integrated into the aerospace value chain and starting to make inroads into EV battery manufacturing, which I covered for us here as well. West Africa's cotton to clothing value chain is growing with support from the WTO. Not too long ago, I visited an industrial park in Benin, Glojibe, where I was inspired to see hundreds of young people processing cotton into fabric and clothes for export to international retailers. And in contrast, I visited today in Kaduna several of our factories that are no longer working. You know, UNTL is closed. Shortex, so many textile factories. I actually did my undergraduate work on the Nigerian cotton textile industry, and it is so distressing to know we've lost 100,000 jobs in textiles in this country. We must do something about it. I know we are trying. I know that there's a new high purity gold refinery that is coming online in Lagos and more in the works. Of course, we have our brother Aliko Dangote's refinery helping to finally change the dynamic in which Nigeria exports crude oil but imports refined gasoline without the ability to refine. That is good. I also know that a 600 million lithium processing plant in Nasarawa State is set to feed into global battery supply chains and hopefully will lay the groundwork for us to produce our own EV batteries, as I said. But we need to do more, and we have the capacity to do it. And just this month, Terra, a defense startup that manufactures drones and other technology designed to secure infrastructure assets, received investment from a venture capital firm led by John Lonsdale, one of the co-founders of the Palantir company. This is an amazing thing to me, and it gives me so much faith in our young people. I'm looking at you, because without waiting for government, you're coming up with new ideas, new discoveries, new support. I hope to visit these young people in Abuja. Nathan Nwachukwu and Maxwell Maduka have founded this factory that has just received this overseas equity injection or investment. So let's encourage our young people to support them in any way we can, not to wait for government, but to go out on their own and also develop enterprises that can employ themselves and other people. The services sector is also driving growth, jobs, and socioeconomic inclusion. Our dynamic digital entrepreneurs are finding new ways to solve problems that Africans face. I'm sure you're familiar with our Nigerian fintech unicorns like Flutterwave and Moneypoint, or South Africa's Time Bank. Agri-tech startups are using digital platforms to help farmers raise yields by connecting them to data, training, credit, and markets. Health tech, security tech, and logistics tech are making life more efficient for businesses and customers. African companies are increasingly using computer networks to deliver services across borders, while Africa still accounts for just less than 1% of global exports of digitally delivered services. Such exports grew by 15% in 2024, faster than any other region. The International Finance Corporation estimates the digital economy could be adding 700 billion to Africa's GDP by 2050. The technological shifts I referred to earlier are therefore creating exciting opportunities for our young people in services trade, particularly in the AI and digital space and the cultural industries. In sectors like retail, banking, and telecoms, Africans are investing in Africa. Our own Access Bank and UBA are two Nigerian financial institutions that have thriving operations across the continent. And as all of you know, Nigerian fashion, arts, and culture are another source of dynamism, and our music is without comparison. Across Africa and the world, more and more people want to wear our clothes, watch our movies, read our books, listen to our music, and eat our food. Why am I saying all this? I want you to know that much as I point out the challenges we face. We also have so many opportunities that we can seize, and I want us to make sure we seize them. Exciting as all of these examples are, we need to scale up our present successes. They are not at the scale we need them to be for them to make the impact we need. Governments will need to deliver, and businesses will need to step up and out of their comfort zones. One reason Africa accounts for less than 3% of global goods trade today is that Africa has some of the world's highest trade costs. WTO economists estimate that Africa trade costs for agricultural goods are 16% higher than the average for the rest of the world, and 37% higher for manufactured products. For trade within Africa, trade costs are 20% higher than for trade with external partners. It costs us more to trade with each other in Africa, 20% more than with the rest of the world. Isn't there something wrong with that scenario? We need to work on it. So what we need to work on, many of you know, President Obasanjo used to call it physical infrastructure, which remains a major problem to rebuilding regional value chains and tapping into global networks. This continent has the world's lowest density of paved roads, and there are not enough rail lines. According to the International Road Federation, Sub-Saharan Africa accounts for 18% of the world's land area, but only 5.6% of the global road network. There are signs that shipping connectivity, which is low between African ports, may be improving, but we still have a long way to go. With respect to energy, Sub-Saharan Africa has many oil producers: Nigeria, Angola, Equatorial Guinea, Uganda, Ghana, Congo, Brazza, Gabon, and I can go on. And yet, so many homes and businesses lack electricity. You cannot industrialize, and you cannot manufacture without electricity. With solar now becoming cheaper than gas, with our ability to produce, we have naturally God-given solar. Let us see how we can harness renewables for households so we can free the gas and oil-based power for manufacturing enterprises. If we can have a mix, an energy mix that is in this direction, I think it will go a long way to help us cover the infrastructure gap. The picture for telecoms infrastructure is much better, with the leapfrog to wireless also making services much easier to trade. And I want to commend several African countries, including Nigeria, that are trying to set up better digital infrastructure. They have the plan. I think the issue is to now accelerate implementation. We also need to do a better job with our human capital. That's why we're here. We have so many young, talented people, but we need to skill them properly. I'm seeing the impact of AI is going to be huge coming up, and I mentioned quantum technologies. We need to make sure that our people are properly skilled to seize advantage of this. Finally, there's no escaping the fact that we need better governance. Our mineral resources have the potential to create shared prosperity, but instead we see that high prices are leading to illegal mining here at home and across the continent. We cannot accept situations in which our vast mineral wealth brings vast benefits to a handful of privileged but unscrupulous people, while local communities are forced off their land. We need to visibly fight this phenomenon, and we need to visibly fight corruption. In the same vein, growth and development will be difficult in the face of uncertainty and of conflict. Very few investors will risk their capital if they feel insecure. Nigeria needs to deal with the security problem. Nigeria and Africa must work on reducing conflict and improving security. Better governance is also about removing practical barriers to business activity and trade. On my flight back to Geneva after celebrating Christmas here at home, I found myself sitting next to an executive from a Chinese solar panel firm. And I, of course, started talking to him. He said, yes, he came here to look at some African countries to see if they could do exactly what I was proposing, set up manufacturing. But bad governance, corruption, demands for payment, bad infrastructure, red tape. And he was telling me he didn't know if he could do it. You see what I'm saying? If we want to really do what I'm proposing, which is let's manufacture here, we need to make the environment better for people who want to invest. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, let me now conclude. I'm firmly convinced that across Nigeria and across Africa, we can overcome these obstacles. We have what it takes to thrive in an increasingly complex world. Countries, businesses, entrepreneurs, and artists are showing us individually the way. But we have missed windows of opportunity before on this continent. I pray we will not do so again. We need our leaders in Africa and here at home to be proactive in seizing these opportunities before us for the sake of the people they serve. And frankly, we need followers, that's you and me, who are being governed, who are equally committed to long-term development and are willing to make their voices heard. It's not only about leadership, it's also about followership. My question and my challenge to you, ladies and gentlemen, is this. Will we demand more of our leaders? Will we demand more of ourselves? Will we? I hope we will. To the graduates, you have so much to contribute to Nigeria and to the continent and to the wider world. Paraphrasing what our famous author Chinua Achebe told us, please tell your own story and let it be a story of success, of humanity, of positive impact on your country and society. Aliko Dangote also said, quote, in the journey to success, tenacity of purpose is supreme. So be bold, be tenacious, be dauntless, be willing to do what is right, be willing to stand up for what is right. Godspeed. I love this university. I look forward to following your story. Thank you again. It's been an immense honor. Up Niger! Up ABU! Thank you.
Thank you very much. A resounding round of applause for our guest lecturer. And to the students, thank you for that gyration. Wow, indeed, this was an insightful lecture. And I think she deserves another round of applause. May I call on the chairman of today's event for his remarks. A round of applause as Okonjo-Iweala Ahmed, CFR, comes to the lectern. Chairman, sir.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I had really wanted to dodge this concluding role for want of time. But an establishment man, I think I have to go through the whole hog. We have listened something which is new but may not be new. Dr. Ngozi has been good, reminding us to know what is good and to continue doing good. She has established some challenges, and the 5 key issues include economic output for Africa and Nigeria. She has given the details. Those of us who are economists here will take it from there. Given examples of China, whereby their own economic output is now showing that advanced countries are no longer the producers. This is very, very important for Nigeria to note. Then we have to manage income and wealth. If we allow rich to continue becoming rich, we will now not have the advantage of shared prosperity. The third item is technological shift, AI and other things. Then environment and climate change. You know, I was in my village this December, and throughout I was using air conditioner in my room. And it used to be that when I went earlier, I get more and more heat than the cold in order to warm me, but it's now vice versa. The fifth one is demographic shift. But in all this, she also highlighted some of the challenges arising from these key issues. Multilateralism is one of them. We have to be exposed to global challenges. What types? But here she emphasized on reforms. Reforms of what we should do in order to key in to multilateral interventions in Nigeria and in Africa. We cannot run away from that. Again, she warned us that days of depending on anybody are gone. Therefore, we must look into our domestic opportunities and overcome our challenges. She also emphasized on regional integration. I remember that when she was in government, there was a ministry for integration, especially on Africa. They achieved a lot. Even though when she was finally deployed to be the Minister of Foreign Affairs, she thought she would just step aside and go back to her familiar terrain. You did a lot before you left, I could testify. But now, what is this lady of substance telling us in Nigeria? We ought to be serious, rediscover ourselves, and make sure that we can overcome these challenges if we have the confidence to spread individually and collectively as Nigerian citizens. One thing that I would emphasize is governance deficiency in terms of good governance. This is a very serious challenge. Nigeria, we are good in elite consensus to loot, not elite consensus to develop. Unless we change the psyche and know that elites who are destroying this nation rediscover their purpose of being here to lead, and lead with integrity, lead with patriotism, and develop this nation. So long as we do not realize this, so long as the elites will be collectively held responsible for destroying the future of young Nigerians. I am appealing to all of us to carefully look through her lecture and resolve to do one thing. The question she asked is that, shall we demand better performance of our leaders? And shall we demand better citizenship from all of us? This is not debatable at all, unless we resolve to ask questions, to hold leaders accountable, and to elect leaders who would do the correct thing for us politically. Nigeria may not find its feet. The conclusions of both lectures is reinforcement on the ability of Nigeria to stand alone and with others. First of all, realizing that we are a great nation. We have people, the capital, human capital, but we are just joking about all of these things. An environment like Ahmadu Bello University can take the challenge. Start doing things correctly that will give you the results desired to raise and uplift this nation through reduction of poverty, manufacturing, and as she said, I remember in the 60s and 70s, any secondary school student near Kano who would come into Kano during long holidays doesn't need to look for a job. He will go to the industrial area and get multiple employment, temporary job, and he will go and buy his bicycle and pay his school fees. Now when you go there, it's a sorry sight. Kaduna is a more sorry sight. It's doable. We can do it, we have the resources, only that the will is the great minus. Please resolve to create more and more of love for your country so that a political system which is now not viable because it does not enjoy support of the administration, of the party, and of the electorate will definitely fall, collapse, and the country will be the worse for it. Doctor, I am on behalf of these vibrant students of this university, with deepest sense of humility, again and again, expressing our profound appreciation to you and to your husband. We know how busy you are, but today you have assured us that you love Ahmadu Bello University. What do we do? Doctor, we love you. Tomorrow you will be part and parcel of this university by being conferred with well-deserved honorary degree, and will continue to serve you to be part of us. Please, lecturers, seize the opportunity of her being there at WTO, World Trade Organization. You will not regret it, and you will bring fortunes to this university. I think, like Chinua Achebe would say, if a lizard falls from a rock and nobody really praises him, he will praise himself. I have been drafted to chair. And I think I am praising myself for surviving to chair.
Another round of applause for the chairman of today's event. He definitely listened to the lecture. Thank you very much, sir. We'll be taking presentation of souvenirs as we have on the program. The souvenir will be presented to the chairman of today's event and also our guest lecturer. To make this presentation, I would want to call on the Chancellor of Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, His Highness, the Obi of Onitsha. Can you come out here, please, sir, for the presentation? It is my pleasure to also invite the Emir of Zazzau to support the Chancellor for this presentation, please. A round of applause for our royal father.
The chairman of the occasion, the governor is gone, but I think we recognize him, the governor of Delta State, our host, Second Zazao, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'll stand on established protocol. As you can see, as Chancellor, I get to do the very pleasant jobs of making the presentation. Yesterday, I stood here and I said to the audience that being the Chancellor of Ahmadu Bello University is one of my great claims to fame. And yesterday was particularly great for me because I had my two friends with me, long-standing friends. One was the lecturer, the Right Honorable, and the Right Archbishop of Canterbury, who was the lecturer. And of course, the chairman was my brother, Alhaji Ahmed. And I've known two of them for over 30 years, personally, and we worked together very closely. So I was standing tall yesterday, and you noticed I was tall yesterday. Today, I'm even standing taller because the convocation lecturer is no other person than my sister, Adeobi, Dr. Ngozi, Okonjo-Iweala. Getting her to be here today has been a project of over 1 year. If you recollect, at last year's convocation, her name was mentioned as qualified for an honorary degree, but for reasons beyond her control and our control, we had to shift it to this year. And she said it was even better we shifted it, so she would have an opportunity to say one or two words. We did, And I think the events of the last 1 year, the world has been in turmoil, and she has been at the center of it, actually gave the opportunity for her to say one or two words, which she has said to us today. And those one or two words are very, very profound. And we thank you very much for that. So on behalf of Ahmadu Bello University, and I dare say that we had a great lecture yesterday, we have another great lecture today. And I think it's only in Ahmadu Bello University that such a thing can happen. On behalf of Ahmadu Bello University, I'd like to make this presentation. And it says, appreciation, Her Excellency, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, the Grand Commander of the Order of the Niger, Director General, World Trade Organization. This plaque is presented to you for serving as the speaker of the 45th Pre-Convocation Lecture of Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, Friday, 30th January 2026. We also present this with the compliments of the Vice Chancellor, Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, Nigeria, established 1962. I think there's a debate that we probably existed before 1962, but let's not go into that debate today. My pleasure. The gifts are piling up. I think we also have to add excess baggage voucher. The Vice Chancellor will take care of that. But here is a certificate of appreciation presented to Her Excellency, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, Grand Commander of the Order of the Niger, Director General of the World Trade Organization, for serving as the guest speaker of the 45th Pre-Convocation Lecture, Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, signed by Professor Adamu Ahmed, Vice Chancellor, 30th January 2026. And this one is a mystery. But I'm sure it's a pleasant mystery. And I present it to you also. And finally, this one.
This is beautiful.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And it says, Her Excellency, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, Grand Commander of the Order of the Niger, Director General, I have to see it closer, Director General of the World Trade Organization, courtesy of Ahmadu Bello University.
Thank you very much. The Emir of Zazzau would present the souvenir to the chairman of events today. This student is named Abdul Malik Ibrahim. He is a 400 level computer science student. And this is computer string arts.
Your Excellency, I'm presenting this on behalf of the students, of Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. I've been an ex-student here.
Like my face, but this is different. Let me say, this is different. I don't normally, as Nigerians, many Nigerians like portraits of themselves. I normally don't, but this is extraordinary.
Next, the presentation of the souvenir to the chairman of today's event by the Emir of Zazzau. And call him. The presentation of souvenir to the chairman of events. This will be presented by the Emir of Zazzau. The souvenir, please. A round of applause for our guest lecturer as she takes her seat. The souvenir is here for presentation, please.
Your Excellency, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, GCFR, former President, Federal Republic of Nigeria. This plaque is presented to you for chairing the 45th Pre-Convocation Lecture of Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, Friday, 30th January 2026. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. A round of applause for His Highness as he takes his seat. Thank you very much for performing that function. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, may I invite the Registrar of Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, to deliver the vote of thanks. The Registrar, sir.
Excuse me.
The Registrar, sir.
Your Excellencies, Honorable Chancellor, Your Highnesses, Pro-Chancellor, Vice Chancellor, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I am honored to deliver the vote of thanks for the pre-convocation lecture delivered by Her Excellency Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, GCON, Director General of the World Trade Organization, on the occasion of the 45th convocation ceremony of Ahmadu Bello University. I want to begin by expressing deep gratitude to Almighty Allah, who, in His infinite mercy, guided the planning and ensured the successful completion of this event. We pray that He continues to be our guide and to bring peace and prosperity to our institutions and our dear nation. We express our sincere gratitude to His Excellency Dr. Olusegun Obasanjo, GCFR, LLD, an honorary graduate of Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, and former President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, who is ably represented by Mahmoud Ahmed, CFR, the Pro-Chancellor and Chairman of Ahmadu Bello University Governing Council, in chairing this pre-convocation lecture. We are grateful for the exemplary and efficient chairmanship that greatly contributed to the success of this event. We deeply appreciate these invaluable services rendered to the university. We express our profound gratitude to the Honorable Chancellor, His Majesty Nnameka Alfred Ugochukwu Achebe, CFR, MNI, LLD, the Obi of Onitsha, Gogidi, for his paternal guidance and leadership extended to the university. We are grateful to His Excellency Sheriff Francis Obavure, Governor of Delta State, for finding time to be with us this evening. We are extremely grateful to His Highness, the Emir of Zazzau, a distinguished alumnus of Ahmadu Bello University, for graciously accepting invitations to the university's programs and for his fatherly advice. We are also grateful to all other members of the Zazzau Emirate Council. Allah ya kara ma sarki lafiya. We are also grateful to His Highness, the Emir of Zuru, for finding time to be with us. We are grateful to you, Your Highness. Our sincere and profound gratitude and appreciation is extended to the guest lecturer, Her Excellency Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, GCON, for the highly inspiring and thought-provoking lecture titled Challenges and Opportunities for Africa and Nigeria in the Present Global Geopolitical and Geostrategic Context. We have gained substantial insights into how Africa and Nigeria should navigate the current international order and geopolitical climate. She has shown that the challenges before us can be overcome. However, doing so requires effective, proactive leadership and dedicated followership. This knowledge has enhanced our understanding of the way forward for Nigeria and Africa. We acknowledge and sincerely appreciate the effort and personal sacrifice involved in preparing the lecture and the journey she undertook from Geneva, Switzerland, to deliver it, especially given your formidable international commitments, which are undoubtedly significant and deeply valued. Your Excellency, once again, please accept our sincere appreciation and that of Ahmadu Bello University. We are also grateful to Dr. Ikemba Uwela, the amiable spouse of Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. We are grateful for finding time to be with us, sir. Our deepest gratitude is extended to the Executive Secretary of the National Universities Commission for honoring this occasion despite your busy schedule. We sincerely thank the Pro-Chancellor and Chairman of the Ahmadu Bello University Governing Council, Mahmoud Ahmed, CFR, and the council members for their dedication and efforts in advancing the cause of the university. We are grateful to the Right Reverend and Right Honorable Justin Welby for finding time to be with us. We extend our sincere gratitude to the chairman and members of the Ahmadu Bello University Endowment Foundation for honoring the occasion with your distinguished presence. Your dedication and commitment to establishing a sustainable foundation for the university are greatly appreciated. We sincerely appreciate the board of directors and management team of AMA Medical Pharmaceutical Manufacturing, as well as Mainstream Energy, for their crucial support in making this event a success. We are also grateful for their ongoing support for the success of the convocation ceremony. We express our profound gratitude to the visiting vice chancellors, commandants, rectors, provosts, as well as registrars from visiting institutions. Your presence has graciously enhanced the importance and prestige of this event. We especially thank the chairman and members of the Ahmadu Bello University Alumni Association for gracing the occasion and for their unwavering commitment to the development of their alma mater. Similarly, great appreciation is due to the Vice Chancellor, Professor Adamu Ahmed, for his exemplary leadership, along with other principal officers, members of management, the Senate, the congregation, and the general membership of staff. Their substantial contributions have significantly facilitated the success of this event despite their numerous official and academic commitments. Special appreciation is extended to the University Convocation Planning Committee, the University Organized Lectures Committee, the Sitting Arrangements Committee, and all their subcommittees for ensuring the seamless execution of all activities related to the lecture, as well as the overseeing arrangements for the convocation day tomorrow. We sincerely appreciate the invaluable contributions of the members of the press, the Public Affairs Directorate, E. Abubakar Institute of Information and Communication Technology, Ahmadu Bello University Press, as well as the numerous service departments and units of Ahmadu Bello University. We express our profound gratitude to the state security agencies, paramilitary organizations, the University Security Division, and the leaders of our neighboring communities for your invaluable contributions to maintaining safety and security of the university and its guests at all times. We extend our gratitude to the students' representative councils, both undergraduate and postgraduate, as well as the graduates, their parents and guardians, for honoring the occasion with your presence. We extend our sincere gratitude to all friends and well-wishers of Ahmadu Bello University for attending our celebration. Finally, we look forward to welcoming you to the Mamman Kontagora Square tomorrow for the 45th convocation ceremony. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you very much for the vote of thanks. Before the closing prayer, we'll be taking a group photograph by members of the high table. In front here, please. Just the members of the high table. Inviting you for a group photograph, please. A little announcement as they're taking the group photograph. After the national anthem, the procession will be leaving the hall. I urge each and every one of us to remain where we are for the procession to leave the building. The procession would leave in reverse order. Members of the high table, followed by the other members of the procession. Thank you. May we all rise for the national anthem. The procession would leave in reverse order. Only members of the procession would leave by the gate to my right, and every other person seated would leave by the gate to my left. Procession in reverse order. There will be a variety show at 5 p.m. at the Kontagora Square for graduates and freshers. This would be at the Kontagora Square by 5 p.m. tomorrow after the convocation ceremony.
As a motivation for me. I was just giving now and I returned